So I was going to do a video about this at the time, and I can't even remember when it was. It would have been in the last 2 months. I picked up this new edition. But if you go back through my videos, you'll know I have talked about and made a video about these compilations before, the Moods series or Pure Moods. So I don't want to kind of repeat myself extensively of what I said in that first video, because I kind of went over the whole history of moods, or at least my understanding of the history. But on a very kind of a basic summary, it was released as Pure Moods in the US and I think the UK, and then it was released as just Moods down in New Zealand and Australia. So it's basically the same songs, especially on this first one. So they've both got 17 tracks, and not all exactly the same, but you see the kind of come up. And if it's not on this first one, Moods 1, it's often on Moods 2. So you kind of, but you can see you can kind of mix and match them between the two. So for example, can we find Jan? Yeah, so on here, track 9, Jan Hammer's Crockett's Theme, which is track 14 on this one. Can we find Sweet Lullaby by Deep Forest? Yes, track 3 on this one, Deep Forest, Sweet Lullaby, and track 2 on this one. So not exactly the same, certainly not the same track listing, but between this song, this compilation, it's basically the same. And so I talked about how I like that music for its kind of cheesiness, but also there's some good songs on it, and how I, again, have a kind of sub-collection of 90s new age spiritual mystical music of this kind of moods genre. And so I'm always looking out for something within that kind of family of albums or compilations. And I have a few other ones that aren't exactly moods ones. Like I've got one that's called like Night Moods or the Moods of Love or things, but actual just moods. I have the Pure Moods, this is the US edition, put out by Virgin. And then I have Moods, which, as I said, basically exactly the same as this. Moods 2, which again is the same vein. So we see a lot of the same artists: Enigma, Mike Oldfield, probably Enya, I would guess, Yanni, so on and so forth. We get to Moods 3, but again, you're seeing there's Vangelis, Mike Oldfield, Yanni, Kenny G. He turns up a bit with his song Songbird. I wonder if it will be Songbird. Songbird might have been on Moods 1. Yes, there it is, see? That is like a smooth kind of music. That's on the Mount Rushmore of smooth music. I remember when I first went to South Korea, I was having a kind of like a lunch with the company or the place I was working at. They took us out for lunch when we first started, the foreign staff. And we're sitting in the restaurant waiting for the food to be served. And on the kind of the background music in the restaurant, they started playing Kenny G, Songbird. And everyone kind of perked up, like, oh, Kenny G. Like the Koreans knew him as well. And I remember I dropped the trivia that the G stands for Gorlick. His name is Kenny Gorlick. All very impressed with that. So I got up to, I see there's Hans Zimmer as well. See that Millennium theme? I just did a video about I bought that. I actually listened to that soundtrack. Hang on a second. No, actually I won't get it. Don't need to show it again. But I looked back 2 or 3 videos. I made a video about the Millennium soundtrack by Hans Zimmer. And I listened to that just after I had done that video. It's actually pretty good. I actually quite like it. It's a mixture of Hans Zimmer's scores, but then also kind of some tribal music from different parts of the world. I actually prefer Hans Zimmer's scores, but not bad. We also got Ryuichi Sakamoto's Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. That's a brilliant piece of music, that. Anyway, my point of making this video is Moods 4, didn't even know it existed. And I wasn't sure, but I saw this in the shop. I was like, do I have this? Surely but no, so I got it. It was like 50 cents or something. And I got it, and I got home and didn't have it. To be honest, I wouldn't have been surprised if I already did have it, because I have so many things with moods in the kind of title, like I was just saying, that it's hard to keep track of all of them. But what do we see on Moods 4? Now, we know that Moods 1, the first one, came out in 96. So this is 2000. So this is kind of like one a year. They've come out, 96, 97, 98, 99, 2000, Moods 4. What do we see? We see Enigma. I think Enigma's been on almost every Moods release. We see it's actually a little bit different, though. We're kind of getting away from the... Oh, jeez. I'm kind of squatting here behind this thing, having the camera up, so not too nice on the old calves. We're seeing that the music is kind of moving away from that new age and almost more into kind of, I don't know, how would you even describe some of it? Like M People, Search for the Hero. That's I can't stand that song. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of M People. I actually have two M People albums. That was in a phase. I was in a phase of buying. I had this short phase where I thought, my collection is just going to be everything. It didn't last long. It was like a month, and I was buying shit. I was buying shit like the M People, and then after a while, I was like, I'm never, ever, ever going to listen to this. And when I hear M People, the name M People, it's kind of like when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, when I was first getting into music in third form. So third form would be what we call year 9. It's like 13-year-olds, 13, 14-year-olds. That was when I first started really getting into music. Before that, I'd liked stuff, but properly getting into like grunge, like Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, so on and so forth. And one of my friends, his sister bought. So we used to go just go to each other's houses and listen to music, or would stay and sleep over at each other's house and talk about music and listen to music. And some of my friends played guitar. And anyway, one time I was at my friend's house, and I think we were going to sleep at night. And you sleep at your friend's house, and you sleep on the floor, and he sleeps in his bed, and you kind of talk before you go to sleep. And I remember he told me, I was like, oh, my sister bought the M People CD the other day, and we just pissed ourselves laughing about it. So it's kind of like the butt of a joke for a long time. So why on earth would I buy? But that doesn't, a lot of music I used to hate when I was a kid, I really like now. But I'd say M People haven't really moved into that category. When I listen to them, I still dislike them. And that song there, Search for the Hero, is particularly bad. I'm not sure why. It's kind of song you hear in a shoe shop or something. We also see, what else? Roxy Music, Avalon. So how would you I like Roxy Music. Well, I like some of Roxy Music stuff. I think they're a little bit overrated, but that's just my opinion. But Avalon's a nice song. Kind of a soft rock song, isn't it? Kind of like you'd say, well, it's kind of got some ambience to it. But not something I typically associate with a Moods album. I'm just trying to see if I know any of these other. Oh, Brazen by George Benson. So that's a good song, because that's a instrumental, which I think works best in the Moods catalog, is the instrumentals. This maybe a little bit tribal chanting can work sometimes, but if you have full on singing like fucking M People, I feel you're taking the piss. But George Benson's Brazen, as the name suggests, a very breezy song, very jazzy, instantly recognizable. Again, has its place in that kind of Muzak field, doesn't it? You can imagine that being played when you're walking through a mall in the middle of the day. But I think it fits pretty well in a Moods compilation. Yanni's always popping up, isn't he? To be honest, I haven't really listened to that much Yanni, but he seems to always be featuring this new age kind of music. So same thing with Mike Oldfield. He seems to come up a lot as well. These other ones I don't really recognize. I know George Michael, obviously. He's doing a cover of Miss Sarajevo, which was a song by U2 under their Passengers moniker. So you also see there's a cover of A Whiter Shade of Pale down the bottom there by David Lance. Don't know who he is. So I feel that by this stage, by Moods 4, they're really reaching. They're not really sticking to the remit. As when we go back to, even let's say if we go back to Moods 2. So we see Vanessa May, she's the violinist. She's doing a violin rendition of Classical Gas. Pandana, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I guess that again, that's a cover of the score by Morricone. Yanni, Celestial. Like I've listened to this a million times. I don't know off the top of my head. I can see an Angelo, Badalamenti from Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me. These all really fit perfectly. Enigma. Siva Pacifica, so you can kind of imagine what that would be, Siva Pacifica. I see Tommy Emmanuel, he's a guitarist, isn't he? He doesn't sing, so it's just kind of instrumental guitar. And then we'll go back to the classic. So we see Enya there. Now, of course, Orinoco Flow is a vocal song, but it could be, she might as well be singing because she's just listing off names of foreign exotic places, isn't she? Was it from the Sea of Galilee, from Peru to Cebu, from Fiji to anyway, the Orinoco is a river in Venezuela, I believe. But anyway, and then she's going to go, what's it, sail away? It's not really, she's not really singing vocals as such. She's almost using her voice as an instrument. And Enya, again, she's so within that kind of new age, woo type genre of music that she can get away with it in the same way that some of those other people I said can't. We see Clannad, again, that Harry's Game is just, there's vocals in it, but they're singing in ancient Gaelic or some shit, or Celtic. There's Pandana again, Jan Hammer, Morricone, like I said before, Sacred Spirit, Enigma, Vanessa May. You're seeing the same names pop up again and again. Now that song by Robbie Robertson there, the Machichi, which is it's like I think it's a Native American Indian kind of tribal chant type song. As is the same, the Sweet Lullaby one by Deep Forest is like kind of it's from the Solomon Islands. It's like got a traditional song. So it's okay to use the vocals in these things. They don't have to be purely instrumental, but if you're going to use the vocals, you can't be singing, you've got to search for the hero inside yourself. You've got to be singing some ancient mystical language that the listener doesn't necessarily understand, or making kind of sounds with your voice that sound, again, mystical or spiritual in some way. So yeah, interesting to see the evolution there from Moods 1 through to 4. And I did look at, the last time I did this video about Moods, I did look at the, whether they went past, I think Moods 4 might be the last. Because I thought, to be honest, I can't remember that one existed, but obviously it does exist. But I don't think it was a Moods 5, because by the 2000s, and this is something else I've talked about, by the 2000s, there was real, I'd say from about 91 through to about 97, there was an upsurge, a swelling in popularity for this kind of world music / new age music. And they really kind of mined that scene for all it was worth. And that's why we started seeing these bands like Deep Forest and Enigma. They were kind of charting. They were doing like selling millions of albums and getting pretty high into charts around the world. But those kinds of things can't last forever. And so it proved. And so by the late 90s, they were running out of steam. And that's why when we get to Moods 4, they're including things like Roxy Music and the fucking M People. and so I guess the wheels fell off, and they decided. But I think I do remember from looking at this last time that there were other moods collections, but it was things like classical moods and the moods of such and such, like the moods of romance or the moods of the night, or no, I think I already said that. That's another one, but whatever. They kind of tried to kind of veer off into other kind of side tracks of different kinds of moods, but not really staying with the original moods concept, if you will. So yeah, that's a lot of talk about moods, isn't it? Is there anyone out there who actually is interested in the stuff about moods? Because I'd say 99% of the people who listened to those Moods soundtrack when they first came out were people like my parents who owned this album. I think they had it on cassette tape and played it in the car, I remember, on family trips when I was a kid or a teenager. Were people who are not really interested in the minutiae of music or its creation, more just they hear it on a TV ad and buy it and listen to it and then move on to the next thing. So I'm sure there aren't that many kind of moods enthusiasts out there. Although I was listening to a comedy podcast and they were referring to moods. One guy, actually I won't tell that story. Maybe it's a bit explicit, but it was a particularly funny story. If you know the comedian Stavros Halkias and his old podcast, 2 words, CT, maybe you know that one. He talked about a story about listening to the Mood soundtrack whilst at home alone. It was pretty hilarious. But yeah, I don't like moods. Ironic, like I've said this before, there's like this kind of a gray area between liking something ironically and liking it genuinely. And I found as I get older, well, is it really a gray area? I think I like this music just because I like it. I'm not like liking it because it's a joke. There's some of that music I legitimately really enjoy. So yeah. Anyway, that's a lot of talking, like I said, about moods. Probably more than anyone needs to hear. Seeing as there's now 20-minute videos talking about the Mood soundtracks, probably more than anyone would even need to know about moods or even want to know about moods. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Thank you.